In the land of NBA tanking, it was practically inevitable that we would reach a point where things stopped feeling like professional basketball and started feeling like something else entirely. That's exactly what happened when the Memphis Grizzlies and Utah Jazz met on a Friday night that looked normal on paper, but quickly turned into one of the clearest examples of the NBA's tanking problem in real time. Because yes, someone has to win every game, but in this one, it felt like nobody actually wanted to. A game nobody wanted to win. The Jazz rolled out a rotation that looked more like a survival experiment than a competitive lineup. Coach Will Hardy sent out just 7 available Warriors, stretching minutes, rotations, and logic to their limit. On the other side, Memphis didn't try to hide it either. Coach Tomas Lalo went even further. 6 players, 2 of them playing all 48 minutes. Not heavy minutes, not starter workload, full game, no break, endurance basketball. And in that chaos, something strange happened. A player stepped into history, not because of dominance, but because of contradiction. The triple-double nobody knows how to rank. Enter Jahmai Meshack, a 23-year-old rookie on a 2-way contract. On paper, he did something impressive. A triple-double. But the deeper you look, the more surreal it gets. Because Meshack also finished the game with a 46 plus minus. One of the worst single-game impacts ever recorded at that volume of production. And ironically, the previous record was 30, so he didn't just break it, he shattered it. The question becomes obvious. How does someone post a stat line that looks like greatness while the game collapses around them? The answer is everything happening around him. The good, real basketball exists somewhere inside this. To be fair, Meshack didn't walk into this game doing nothing. There were real moments, real reads, real flashes of NBA-level skill. Early in the game, he uses a drag screen to get downhill left, controlled dribble, body shielding the defender, then a smooth turnaround jump hook. That's legitimate skill. Later, in isolation, he attacks the mismatch again, uses strength, creates space, finishes with a soft floater that actually gives Memphis a brief lead. For a moment, it looks like a normal basketball development story. A young guard learning on the job, growing through reps. Even against the Utah Jazz zone defense, he shows awareness. Inside ball screen action forces a rotation. He spins through contact. Another soft touch finish. These are real NBA reads, not empty stats. But the problem is, the game doesn't stay normal. The zone that broke everything. At some point, Utah shifted into a 2-3 zone defense, and instead of being a simple tactical change, it became the turning point of the entire game. Because what followed was not elite defense, not elite offense, just confusion. A professional NBA offense struggling against something most players first see in middle school. Memphis tried to run a 1-3-1 alignment. They tried entry passes to the high post. They tried wing reversals. Nothing stabilized. Turnovers started stacking. Bad reads started multiplying. And suddenly, Meshack's stat line began splitting into 2 realities. The playmaker and the problem. The quadruple-double nobody celebrates. Technically speaking, Meshack's stat line wasn't just a triple-double. It was something worse disguised as something better, because alongside points, assists, and rebounds, he also had double-digit turnovers, 10 of them, a quadruple-double in the most damaging sense imaginable, and many of them came from simple actions. Entry passes to the high post, basic zone reads, catch and react decisions under pressure. What makes it worse is not just the mistakes, it's how quickly they turned into points the other way. Defense, where the game completely collapsed. If offense was messy, defense was catastrophic. And this is where plus-minus doesn't lie. Every breakdown started small. A late closeout, a missed rotation, a slow reaction in transition. Then it snowballed. Meshack is in position on one possession, but doesn't close out to the corner 3. Splash. Next possession, he's late boxing out. Offensive rebound. Kick out 3. Another miss in communication. Another open shooter. And suddenly, Utah isn't just scoring, they're building separation. Fast. The avalanche effect. There's a moment in every tanking style game where everything stops being competitive and starts feeling inevitable. This was that moment. A loose ball chase turns into confusion. A missed layup turns into a fast break. A bad shot with 16 seconds left on the clock turns into transition points the other way. the court starts to tilt, and once it tilts, it doesn't stop. Meshock becomes the last line of defense repeatedly, and that's where things fall apart completely. Drop coverage, late recoveries, no rim protection timing. Every small mistake becomes a layup. Every layup becomes momentum. Every momentum swing becomes a blowout. But this isn't just about one player. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Blaming Jemai Meshock misses the entire point. Because this wasn't a normal NBA game. This was a structurally compromised environment. A game shaped by incentives that no longer align with competition. When teams are missing 10, 12, sometimes 13 players. When rotations are experimental. When minutes are distributed not for winning but for evaluation. Then performances like this are not anomalies. They're outcomes. The math behind tanking. This is where it gets even more revealing. Because in games like this, front offices are calculating probabilities in real time. Win this game, lose draft position value. Lose this game, improve lottery odds by 5, 10%. That changes everything. Effort becomes selective. Rotations become experimental. Late game execution becomes irrelevant. And fans inside the arena are watching something that looks like NBA basketball, but doesn't function like it. The Prize Picks era context. And layered on top of that is modern viewing culture. Fans are no longer just watching games. They're tracking stats, props, and projections in real time. Every assist matters. Every rebound matters. Every lineup shift matters. But in tanking games, even that gets distorted, because stats are being produced in situations where winning is no longer the priority, which makes games like this even harder to interpret. The fans caught in the middle. The most overlooked part of all this? The people in the arena. Fans didn't pay to watch draft strategy. They didn't buy tickets to watch experimental rotations and 48-minute endurance tests. They came to watch competition, and instead, they got something closer to controlled chaos. Confusing possessions, unpredictable rotations, and stretches of basketball that don't resemble the league standard. So what do we actually learn from this game? This game doesn't expose one player. It exposes a system where winning is sometimes secondary. Development overrides competition. Draft positioning influences rotations. And effort becomes inconsistent by design. And in that system, a player like Jemai Meshock can look like a breakout star and a liability in the same 40-minute stretch. Not because he is both, but because the environment forces him to be. Final possession, the reality check. At the end of the night, the numbers stay in the record books. Triple-double, 46 plus minus, 10 turnovers. But the real story isn't the stat line, it's what the stat line represents. A league trying to balance competitiveness and long-term strategy, and sometimes failing in ways that feel impossible to ignore. And that's the reality of NBA tanking. It doesn't always look obvious. It doesn't always look intentional. But when you zoom in on games like this, you can see how quickly structure breaks down when winning is no longer the priority. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe for more deep dives into the NBA's hidden stories, strange games, and uncomfortable truths behind the numbers. Because sometimes, the most important games aren't the ones that decide championships. They're the ones that show you how the system really works. See you in the next one.